If you
I'm
want
not going to stay. I'm not
we're
going to
going to give
stay.
it a try, and then if you don't, then we'll look for something else, okay?
I'm not going to stay here.
Okay, just for a little bit.
No,
And then
I'm not going to stay
if you
here,
don't
Blanche.
like it, if you don't like it, then you don't have to stay. First of all, she wasn't the kind of person that you would take care of. She was always taking care of herself.
In fact, Janet Mitchell had a brilliant career taking care of others.
He's done well in his pregnancy.
This is Dr. Mitchell in her 40s, a leading OBGYN.
All right.
With degrees from Mount Holyoke, Howard, and Harvard, she was nationally known as a tireless advocate for patients with HIV/AIDS.
I'd like to shift the focus from the disease to the people.
Bright, bossy, a woman that knew what she wanted and would go after it.
Always wanted to be a doctor?
Yes.
But now it's the doctor who's in need of care. Do you know about Alzheimer's?
Yeah.
Do you have Alzheimer's?
Mm-mm.
No?
No.
You don't have Alzheimer's?
Mm-mm.
You've seen it in other patients?
Mm-mm.
Have you seen it in other people?
Mm-hmm.
And what happens to people who have Alzheimer's?
They usually just sort of, you know, stand up and they don't really do things. Yeah.
And they're not cognizant, they're not lucid anymore?
No.
While Janet pursued her career in New York, Blanche, living in Colorado, says she missed some signals and misinterpreted others.
Maybe we see her once a year during Christmas. And I just started noticing, particularly the last couple of Christmases, she didn't interact as much. She was just different. I thought that it was depression. And then really our daughter Dana, who lives in New York, kept saying to us, something's wrong.
I was buying her food. If I didn't buy her food once a week, she wasn't eating.
Her niece Dana, who's also an associate producer at ABC News, was alarmed by what she saw. What does this tell you when you look around and you came into her house and saw this chaos?
You really can sort of track the slow decay of her state of being.
So you took her in for tests.
Mm-hmm. It was remarkable. I saw the MRI, and you could just see the brain atrophy.
It quickly became apparent she needed full-time care, so the family looked to her assets to pay the hefty monthly fees. That's when they began to see how the disease had damaged her life. Janet had lost her job. She was in debt and facing foreclosure. Blanche and her husband realized the economic burden would fall to them. That must have surprised you. She was a doctor,
Yes.
a well-regarded, respected physician.
Mm-hmm.
And to come to find out she's having financial problems?
It's like, wait a minute, what's going on? You should be taking care of me. Not me taking care of you, but at least from a financial perspective.
What was her biggest asset?
Her house. And she lost that.
Her niece Dana made the shocking discovery that Janet had signed over her grand 4-story Brooklyn brownstone for a fraction of its value.
In New York State, property records are public records. I looked up the property records for this house, and that's where I discovered that she'd transferred the deed.
Dr. Mitchell bought the house nearly 20 years ago for $330,000. Now it's estimated to be worth $1.5 million. The house next door just sold for $2 million. So all of this in the kitchen, is this hers or yours? Dana has been sifting through the piles of unopened mail, unpaid taxes, bank accounts, and foreclosure notices. Her family believes Dr. Mitchell answered an internet ad from a subprime lender when she defaulted on her mortgage. She found this man. His name is Mamoon Mirza.
Mr. Mirza, I'm David Scott from ABC News. I'd like to ask you about this transaction with Dr. Janet Mitchell.
Okay.
Could you talk to us about that?
Talk to my attorney about that.
Instead of helping her get a loan through the mortgage company, it appears Mirza made his own deal. In exchange for paying off her mortgage debt totaling about $200,000, Dr. Mitchell signed over her $1.5 million home to Mamoon Mirza. This is the handwritten agreement Mirza filed, along with documents indicating it was a sale between relatives. He didn't want to discuss that transaction with Nightline.
Yes.
Was this a legitimate transaction?
Yes.
Did you know she was a very sick woman?
She wasn't sick at the time when we got
Mirza now admits submitting the record saying it was a sale between relatives, but claims it was a filing error.
She was a very sick woman at the time.
No, she wasn't.
Did you represent to the state that you were a relative of Dr. Janet Mitchell?
No, I didn't.
That's what the document says, sir.
Okay. Listen, my attorney's
Yes.
going to take care of this.
Is there any possibility that she knew what she was doing when she sold her house to Mirza?
No, none whatsoever. I would base my life on that. There is no way she would sign away her house without a lawyer and a handwritten contract and get nothing in return.
When we talk to her 5 days after her move into the nursing home, Dr. Mitchell herself is able only to repeat a spotty loop about the incident, which is typical of Alzheimer's victims. Do you remember your house in Brooklyn?
Yeah, in Brooklyn. Yeah, it's a house that a friend of ours had given to us.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
In Fort Greene?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's happened to it?
No, it's still there.
It's still there?
Yeah, it's still there.
Who owns it now?
My husband is there with it, so it's okay.
Who's your husband?
I'm trying to remember who he is, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
In fact, she and her husband were divorced, and he died 2 years ago. She's equally confused about the deal with Mirza. Did you sign your house to him?
Mm-mm.
Does he own your house now?
Mm-mm. Because I told him that he didn't.
Did he try to buy your house from you?
He tried.
What did he say?
Hmm?
What did he say?
I said, excuse me, because you ain't coming into my house.
And what happened?
Hmm? That's what I told him. I said, no, you ain't coming into my house. This is my house. It ain't your house. That's what I told him.
Her family says that house could have provided the money for Dr. Mitchell's long-term care. Now they're paying the $3,000 a month bill.
That's my biggest fear right now, and my biggest struggle is making sure she has the finances to take care of her in a nice place.
It has been a tragic descent for Dr. Mitchell. The disease has robbed her and her family in so many ways.
The eyes, I look in the eyes, and the eyes are different. I had to say goodbye to the old Janet. I can't keep thinking about, oh, it's so sad that she used to be this, and now look at her. Well, yeah, now look at her. So who is she now? She's still my sister.
But you're still a caregiver.
I will be now, probably for the rest of her life or my life, whichever one of us goes first. It's gonna be good, trust me. I know, I'm your little sister. Who can you trust?
This is Vicki Mabry for Nightline in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Dr. Mitchell is not alone in suffering from early onset Alzheimer's. It's estimated as many as 400,000 people have the condition and were hit with it before the age of 65. As for Mamoun Mirza, he has not been charged with any crime. However, after we contacted the Brooklyn DA's office, they told us they are now looking into the matter. We'll be right back.